This is Marvel Recap Doctor Doom, Part 2. While Doctor Doom may have faced off against Earth's mightiest heroes, his most legendary clashes would involve beings from other realms and dimensions. One of those was the demon Mephisto, as the death of Doom's mother had haunted him for years. And even in his youth, he'd vowed to one day use his magic to save her soul from the eternal torment in Mephisto's domain. As he grew up, he was plagued by nightmares of her suffering, although he never knew if they were created by Mephisto or by his own frustration over not being able to save her. After conquering Latveria, he entered into a contest with Mephisto, who, you may recall, challenged him to battle once a year for her soul every Midsummer's Eve. But their greatest battle came years later in the graphic novel Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom: Triumph and Torment. It started when the aged Genghis summoned the world's greatest sorcerers to compete to determine Earth's Sorcerer Supreme. And while Dr. Stephen Strange was already considered by most to be the Sorcerer Supreme, he agreed to compete. The final competitor was Doom, who hailed the aged Genghis, claiming that since their last encounter, he had learned respect for certain protocols, if not for the men that require them. The Genghis explained the competition, spurred on by the powerful extra-dimensional entities known as the Vishanti. However, one of the contestants protested that Doom had no right to compete, as he used science to work his wiles. Doom responded by shutting down his armor's offensive weapon systems and force fields, promising not to use them. The assembled sorcerers would have to free the Genghis from a crystal prison while dodging mystical bolts that turned the competitors into mystical zombies. While the other sorcerers soon fell, Doom used his armor's computer to study their approaches to mystical combat, and soon Doom and Strange were the only two competitors left. Doom used his new knowledge to challenge Strange, only to wind up imprisoned by Strange's magic. Strange won the competition, and the Vishanti officially declared him the Sorcerer Supreme. But since Doom survived the competition without falling to the power of the crystal, Strange owed him a boon. Strange refused to advance Doom in his plans of conquest, but Doom said that he had no need to employ mysticism in matters of state. However, he would ask for his help in freeing his mother's soul from an infernal netherworld. Was the suffering of one woman's immortal soul beneath the notice of the Sorcerer Supreme? And with that, Strange agreed. The pair traveled to Latveria, where Strange witnessed the reverence the people had for Doom. Later, Strange marveled at Cynthia Von Doom's mystical knowledge. Doom revealed that all he remembered of his mother was her face, her smile, her touch. He was very young when his mother died, but he had come to know her from her diary and the stories told by his father and Boris. He had spent all of his adult life seeking a way to free his mother from damnation, struggling year after year to no avail. This time would be different. Strange was puzzled. Why hadn't Doom asked for his help before? Doom's response? While he would bear any ordeal, Doctor Doom does not beg. Strange worked with Doom, training him further in the ways of the mystic arts, and Doom boosted his armor's technology to surpass Strange's mystical might. They descended into hell, where they were confronted by an army of demons and their lord, Mephisto. Doctor Strange found himself trapped in a distorted version of his origin story, where his teacher, the Ancient One, was dead. But before he could give in to despair, Strange was able to use his amulet, the Eye of Agamotto, to dispel the illusion and defeat the demon casting it. Meanwhile, Mephisto offered Doom the world, but the world was already Doom's for the taking. He needed no gifts from Mephisto. That's when Mephisto offered Doom what he wanted most, the soul of Cynthia Von Doom, for a price. That price was delivering Strange to Mephisto, who released Cynthia's soul into a new, stony body. But as happy as his mother was to see him, she was horrified to learn of Doom's betrayal, and that he had forfeited his soul in exchange for hers. While Doom would have sacrificed 1,000 souls to free her, she would not be a party to betrayal and rejected him, leaving Doom to weep at her stony feet. Thanks to a device that Doom gave him, Strange was able to break free of his bonds. The two battled Mephisto, but his sheer power forced them into the protection of Doom's force field with the statue of Cynthia. After convincing Doom to drop the force field, Strange used his powers to release the trapped soul of Cynthia Von Doom, unleashing a pure light that Mephisto could not withstand. Cynthia's rejection of Doom's supposed betrayal had redeemed her soul, and now she was lost to Mephisto forever. Unable to kill Strange and Doom without losing their souls as well, Mephisto sent them back to Earth. Once returned, Doom felt joy as he achieved that which he sought for years. His mother's soul was at last free, even though it was at the cost of her love. As Doom walked away, Strange realized that Doom could have betrayed him to Mephisto, but didn't. His actions gave his mother the chance to find her own redemption. Strange wondered if Doom could have planned this all along. Boris pointed out that Doom would want more than simply to rescue his mother. He would want to win free and clear, beholden to no one. His mother was free. He owed Strange nothing, and he could continue his dreams of conquest with his soul his own. But while Namor and T'Challa have tested Doom's might, intellect, and ability to rule, it was Tony Stark, also known as his armored alter ego Iron Man, who made Doom question his purpose in life. A former weapons manufacturer and one of the smartest men on Earth, Stark chose to use his scientific skills and inventions to help the world. A decision that initially made him Doom's enemy, but later inspired Doom to try to become a hero too. Their first major encounter came in 1981's Iron Man number 149, where we discovered that Doom was using time travel to learn sorcery from history's greatest magic wielders. Meanwhile, Iron Man witnessed Doom's agents stealing from a Stark Industries warehouse and traveled to Latveria to confront him. During a brief battle, the pair were sent through time, ending up in Camelot. While Iron Man allied himself with King Arthur, Doom sought out his half-sister, the villainous sorceress Morgan Le Fay. Doom asked to train with her, as he was still seeking the magical might that could free his mother from Mephisto. She agreed, if Doom would lead an army of the dead against Arthur, which led to a battle between Doom and Iron Man in the skies above Camelot. When Le Fay's army was defeated, Doom and Iron Man agreed to work together and combined their armor's technologies to return home. This adventure would be revisited in 1989's Iron Man number 250, where Iron Man and Doom were summoned to the year 2093 by Merlin. There, they found King Arthur had been reincarnated as a child and were tasked with defeating the current Iron Man, Tony's descendant, Andros Stark. While Tony was able to defeat Andros with armor upgraded by the mystical sword Excalibur, Doom encountered his future self, an aged cyborg who had replaced much of himself with his armor. Disgusted, Doom killed his future self, which came as no surprise to old Doom, as he'd done the same thing 100 years ago. And soon, they were both returned to the present day, where they went their separate ways. But their biggest interaction came after Doom was stripped of his godhood at the end of 2015's Secret Wars. The experience of being a god left Doom unfulfilled, although it did heal his facial scars. So, he attempted to redeem himself and become a force for good in the world, trying to ally himself with a skeptical Tony. After Tony was left in a coma during the second superhuman civil war, Doom saw a chance for redemption. he took an Iron Man armor and replaced Tony as a hero, becoming the infamous Iron Man. He also befriended Cambridge researcher Dr. Amara Pereira, who helped him in his cause. They soon became romantic, although one of their meetings was interrupted by the Fantastic Four's The Thing, who was unconvinced by Doom's attempt at heroism. But Doom was soon confronted by a face from his past, his mother, Cynthia Von Doom, who had seemingly been resurrected by an evil version of Mr. Fantastic himself, Reed Richards. Not to be confused with the Maker, who was an evil version of Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe. Doom confessed his plans to improve the world to his mother, planning to take down the evil organizations Hydra and AIM. But with the help of Doctor Strange, Doom soon realized who was behind his mother's resurrection: Mephisto. He was furious that Doom, who had caused so much strife in the world, would now attempt to be good. So he created a duplicate of her to taunt Doom. Doom and Strange worked together to defeat Mephisto. The Thing remained unconvinced though, so Doom teleported him to Amsterdam, where he gave him a vacation and an apartment. And as Doom proceeded to attack AIM, Dr. Pereira discovered that she was pregnant with Doom's child. But Doom's attempt at heroism soon started to collapse when Tony emerged from his coma. The former Cabal member, the Hood, began targeting Doom with a gang of supervillains, and Doom was rejected by Dr. Pereira, who didn't want to just be someone who kept healing Doom whenever he stumbled onto her doorstep. A dejected Doom visited his mother's grave, where he felt that he would never be seen as anything more than a monster, which he blamed on his mother's teachings. He went off to battle the Hood's crew, aided by an army of Doombots, and Tony soon showed up to help defeat the Hood too. The Hood devastated Doom's armor, and while Doom won, his face was scarred again. Afterwards, he returned to Latveria, injured and alone. He used his magic to rebuild Castle Doom, knowing that the world would never know or believe the sacrifices he had made for them. While Dr. Doom has fought many of his enemies one-on-one, he's not afraid to take on entire super teams all at once. For example, Doom's relationship with the mutant super team, the X-Men, has led to several memorable encounters and a surprising amount of flirting. They first crossed paths in 1981's X-Men number 145, after Doom captured the supervillain Arcade. After his assistant, Miss Locke, begged the X-Men to help free him, the team traveled to Latveria, where Storm encountered Doom, who flattered her and gave her a private dinner. The other X-Men tried infiltrating Doom's castle, but were soon captured and put into ingenious death traps. For Storm, Doom used a device to seal her inside a metal shell, which caused her claustrophobia to manifest through the violent weather inside. However, the X-Men were soon able to outthink their traps, and Wolverine was able to free Storm. Furious, she raged against Latveria, calling down hurricane-force winds that threatened to destroy Doom's castle. But she was eventually able to calm herself. Doom apologized and released Arcade to the X-Men's custody. Doom gallantly asked if he could start over with Storm, as he wished to know her better. Storm agreed to leave with a clean slate, saying the next move was Doom's, officially making this possibly the most awkward first date in Marvel history. The X-Men and Doom would encounter each other several times over the following decades, sometimes as adversaries, but occasionally as allies. In 1984's Beauty and the Beast miniseries, Beast and Dazzler found themselves investigating an underground mutant fighting ring, only to be forced to fight each other. They discovered that it was run by Latverian mutant Alexander Flynn, who claimed to be Doom's son and sought to depose him with the army of mutants he'd assembled. In the end, Beast and Dazzler were able to defeat Flynn's forces, and Doom appeared to declare that Flynn was not his son, calling him nothing but a contemptible, pitiful disgrace. During the 1987 miniseries Fantastic Four vs. the X-Men, Doom approached the X-Men with an offer to help heal their injured member, Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat. Pryde had become trapped in her intangible form when she was injured defending the Morlocks from the mutant assassins known as the Marauders during the Mutant Massacre. Doom offered to save her life, saying there would be no price, and the X-Men agreed to accept his help. Convinced that Doom couldn't be trusted, the Fantastic Four flew to Latveria to stop him. With the Fantastic Four's presence disrupting Doom's attempts to save Kitty, he ordered the X-Men to stop them from entering the castle. The two teams brawled outside, with the Thing bonking Wolverine unconscious, and Rogue absorbing the Human Torch's flame powers. That is, until Reed and Sue Richards' young and incredibly powerful son, Franklin Richards, rode in on Kitty's dragon companion, Lockheed, and managed to bring everyone to their senses. Watching from above, Doom considered letting Kitty die so he could blame it on Richards, but realized it would be a much better coup to cure her when Richards had failed to do so. And the whole thing turned out to be a plot by Doom to undermine Reed's confidence, as he was unable to tell if his concerns about Doom's plan was real or just his obsession with stopping Doom. Ultimately, Reed decided to put his trust in his loved ones and himself, and with that, he was able to save Kitty's life. Afterwards, Sue called out Doom for orchestrating this entire event, which Doom denied. But Sue didn't care, as they'd proved Doom wrong once again. And while Doom and the X-Men have not always been on the same side, it seemed that Doom had developed a respect for them, as we learned in 2024's X-Men number 28 that Doom had created his mutant team patterned after the X-Men. We learned that Doom had traveled across his country, rescuing Latverian mutants from captivity, training them, and assembling them into a team, much like Charles Xavier had with his X-Men. But Doom also believed that Xavier was destined to fail in bringing peace between mutants and non-mutants, and was not ready for a crown upon his head. Doom knew that his Latverian mutants were in danger and didn't let them join Xavier. And now they were alive when many of the X-Men weren't, due to a series of brutal assaults by the anti-mutant Orchis organization. Clearly, Doom respected Xavier's mission, but felt he hadn't gone far enough in his goals. And that's not something anyone can say about Doom. As Earth's mightiest heroes, it was inevitable that the Avengers would eventually clash with Doom, Earth's mightiest ruler, at least according to Doom. An early encounter was detailed in 1999's Avengers number 1 1/2, which took place just after the first issue of the Avengers back in 1963. In it, Doom was furious at the televised debut of the Avengers, who were soon called in by the Army's Major Bowman to help secure Doom's flying fortress. It had been captured by the military after Doom abandoned it in 1963's Fantastic Four number 17. When the Avengers flew inside, however, they were captured by Doom, who revealed he'd been Major Bowman all along. However, this early version of the team still featured the Hulk, who managed to take down Doom, who turned out to be a Doombot, because of course he was. And the Avengers were forced to flee the damaged fortress before it exploded. The Avengers fought a larger battle against Doom in 1977's supervillain team-up number 14. In it, mutant supremacist Magneto tried to ally himself with Doom to conquer the world, only for Doom to reveal that he was already going to conquer the world with his mind-controlling neurogas. After he brainwashed Magneto, Doom sent him to recruit the Avengers, who soon fell under his control too. Doom used the gas's power to take over the US government, although he was frustrated by the jabbering politicians he had to deal with, including the president. He also recruited a mind-controlled Hulk to be his bodyguard. That's when the LA super team, the Champions, arrived to challenge him, taking on the mind-controlled Avengers as Doom battled Magneto through the skies of Washington, D.C. The day was saved when the demonic Ghost Rider set Doom on fire, forcing him to remove his mask. He was soon overcome by the neurogas, and he was left immobile, waiting for commands from Doom that would never come since he was Doom. But not all of the Avengers' struggles with Doom involved Doombots or mind control. For a more punch-focused fight, we can turn to 2008's Mighty Avengers #8. After a satellite crashed to Earth, releasing an invasion of alien symbiotes, the Avengers were forced to battle them on the streets of New York. Iron Man soon discovered that the satellite was from Latveria, and the Avengers invaded the country in retaliation. During the battle, Iron Man and Doom grappled in Doom's lab, where the Avenger named the Sentry accidentally knocked them into Doom's time machine. Unable to use the methods that returned them from their previous time travel adventures, they were forced to break into the Baxter Building and use Reed Richards' time machine to return home. Afterwards, the Avengers were able to defeat Doom and take him into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. Not long after that, Doom would find himself involved in the Avengers' struggles with their former member, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. Some time ago, Wanda had gone somewhat mad after her two children, Billy and Tommy, who had been created through her magic, disappeared. In her grief, she'd turned her powers against the Avengers, disassembling them in an attack that killed the current Ant-Man, Scott Lang, and destroyed her former husband, the Vision. Encouraged by her twin brother, Quicksilver, who was trying to protect her from the Avengers' retaliation, she'd later used her magic to change reality into one ruled by mutants in the House of M storyline. And when she returned the world to normal, she also cast a No More Mutants spell, which removed the powers of the vast majority of the mutant race in an effort to end mutant conflict. In the Avengers Children's Crusade series, the Young Avengers went looking for the Scarlet Witch, as two of them, Wiccan and Speed, were reincarnations of her lost children. They were soon joined by Magneto and her brother, Quicksilver, only to be opposed by the Avengers, who were looking to kill her to prevent her powers from growing out of control. Wanda's son, Wiccan, and the Young Avengers soon found Wanda in Latveria, where she was a guest of Doom, having lost all of her memories. Even more surprising, they were scheduled to be married the next day, and even Doom was surprised that he had found a new love after Valeria. When the Avengers arrived to confront Wanda, the Young Avengers brought her back to the day she disassembled the Avengers, where young Avenger Cassie Lang, aka Stature, was reunited with her father before he'd been killed. The act returned Wanda's memories, and she returned to the present with the Young Avengers and Scott Lang. There, she worked with Doom to restore the abilities of all the former mutants. The plan was to give the life force that powered her magic to Doom, allowing him to complete the spell. Wiccan argued that Doom wouldn't give up the powers afterwards, but agreed to help. The life force made Doom even more powerful. But as Wiccan predicted, Doom refused to give up his power, leading him to battle both the Avengers and Young Avengers. When he attacked Scott Lang, Stature retaliated. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Witch exposed Doom to even more of the life force power, which judged him unworthy, stripping him of his new might. A bitter Doom refused to admit that he had ever loved Wanda and fled. But while Wanda was restored to normal, Doom had killed Stature during the battle, leaving her newly revived father to mourn her. Doom's brief relationship with Wanda would prove awkward when he later came to the aid of the Avengers during Avengers and X-Men Axis. Doom showed up as part of a group of supervillains helping the Avengers fight Red Onslaught, a clone of Professor X possessed by the mind of Red Skull. Doom and Scarlet Witch combined their forces, casting a spell that inverted the moral compasses of every villain present for the battle against Red Onslaught. While under this spell, Doom later confessed to his goddaughter, Valeria Richards, who we'll discuss more in a later chapter, that he desired to redeem himself for the harm he'd caused in the world. He got his chance when the Scarlet Witch attacked Latveria, seeking revenge for his actions. Valeria and Doom managed to trap her in a device that sapped much of her powers, and she flew away, vowing to return one day for revenge. And we soon learned the true purpose of the machine as it resurrected Stature, reuniting her with her father and reversing one of the acts that Doom most regretted. And of course, the Avengers would go on to be one of the many groups that battled Doom when he took over the world during the recent One World Under Doom storyline. But we'll have more on that in Part 3.